of giving the floor to Claudio Evangelisti, founder and CEO of Gas and Heat. The floor is yours.
Thank you for the invitation. Sorry not to be there. I will try to summarize very briefly the characteristic of our company. Our company is involved in supplying infrastructure dedicated to the use of gas as a fuel. I'm speaking of liquefied gas, so not only LNG, as we are doing during the last, I would say, years, but also for LPG and ethylene. So we are used to supply plant onshore. We have designed and built as a PC contractor the first LNG small-scale storage in Italy, exactly in Sardinia, in Oristano. And we have made the first party after 1 year, I mean, at the end of May, just last month. So we are pretty involved during these days in building bunker vessel for LNG. And one of them is more or less under completion in Spain with a cooperation with a Spanish shipyard in the north of Spain. The vessel should be ready at the end of September, October this year, ready to be delivered to the ship owner, I mean Crutzen, the Norwegian company, and to be moved in Barcelona, chartered by Shell, for having a fixed point for bunkering LNG propelled vessel in this area. Just some words. Speaking of ECA, or better, SECA area, I think that it is a matter of fact that LNG is the perfect fuel to be compliant with this kind of regulation. As you know, LNG means is something that where the sulfur is clean at the origin, and together with some other elements. And so for this reason, the emission of SOx are very, very limited. Just some small percentage points. So we can say that LNG is completely out of this problem. And is also a fuel that is able to abate the NOx pollution, at least for more than 90–95% compared to the fossil fuel. But we need to look at the future and to look to the necessity to reduce the carbon emission. And even if LNG is a fuel that is coming from as a fossil origin, LNG is a very key point for the decrease, the decarbonization and the decrease of pollution for the next years. Our company is involved also as a research and development department in research for other kind of fuel, and mainly ammonia and hydrogen. The two fuel are very interesting for the potentiality for the next future. Obviously, for the ammonia, there are some issues relevant to the toxicity of the emission, and we are trying to deal with. We are making research, and we are working strictly with the National Classification Society, I mean RINA, for the approval in principle for a new system with ammonia as a fuel. And we are working in a very practical way in projects that have LNG on board and also liquid hydrogen. For the liquid hydrogen, we have to underline that the characteristics of hydrogen are very interesting, especially if we are speaking of the blue hydrogen. And so something that is coming from free carbon sources. From that point of view, the possibility of using in the next future for the maritime transportation is strictly linked to some sort of possibility of mixing hydrogen with LNG. And because at the end of the story, speaking of maritime transportation, we have to take in consideration that we need fuel that have just an high content of, I would say, energetic characteristic. And because we need to have a fuel able to face the request for the autonomy, I mean, for the big distances, especially for the transoceanic traffic. So LNG is the perfect fuel that is mixing with this kind of, also for this new fuel in the next future, to find the right percentage in order to guarantee to have the possibility to have the right energetic mix able to give the necessary long distance capability to the vessel. We are working hard during these days because another matter that we are facing is, the capability of having different sources, like for the energy, I mean. And we are living in very difficult days, and what is happening in Europe is a very terrible story that obliged all the state to think how we can diversify our source of energy. LNG, from that point of view, is for sure a solution that it is not, even if it is coming from the, from the fossil, has the capability to give us in the medium, in the short, medium term, the necessary independence from energy source point of view, and give the possibility to be, I would say, used with other fuel. I'm thinking particularly to the hydrogen, also for the maritime transportation. So in other words, my opinion is that LNG will be the key for the next few years. What we need to do is to try to change and to convert the actual vessels that are using traditional fuel at least to LNG. We are moving with new project and also for container vessel. We have started a project, a very interesting one. The final client is MSC, and is one of the most important, powerful shipping company in the world. And we have started with the first conversion of container vessel that will be converted from engine using traditional fuel to LNG fuel. We are working strictly with other big important stakeholders like Cantieri for another project, still also for the cruise vessels, and still for MSC. And in this case, we are working for a conversion of a vessel under construction from traditional fuel to LNG/hydrogen. This is very, is a very interesting and very challenging projects, and we are continuing to work with these important Italian stakeholders, and we will try to give our contribution And we are sure that LNG will be one of the most important key for the future, and especially for the SECA area in the Mediterranean area. And we hope that the passage from NECA to SECA will be done very soon, because what we need is to improve what we can do for the reduction of the pollution. Our planet is really in difficulties. We are looking during these days a very terrible hot weather in Italy. We are facing a lot of problems, and we cannot give a resolution of this, or at least an improvement of for the resolution of this problem in the future. We have to act immediately, and LNG can help really in this way.